the music, 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 the music.
Hey.
Welcome to Globalize Yourself Stereo. I got none other than the amazing Zaki Ibrahim. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you very much. It's really nice being here.
Welcome back to Cape Town. How does it feel being back, eh?
It's wonderful. It's actually surreal. It's actually surreal. I wasn't expecting to come to Cape Town. I was in Joburg first. And just like doing, catching up with what's happening in SA and just kind of, just kind of being back for a second. And then it came like kind of last minute, the Cape Town visit. And then I got to see family and friends and stuff.
Fantastic.
Cool.
So, have you always been based between like two regions? How's your like geographical situation been since birth?
I feel like I stay complicated with the geographical situation,
Yeah.
And it's always like it's something to talk about. But really, though, it's I think that it is just I just got to put it down to having a nomadic spirit.
Sure.
And the between things, I like movement.
Yeah.
I like I think I just like to kind of be keep things moving. And so, yes, completely. Like since I was a 3-year-old until now, and Cape Town being one home, at times Joburg, at times Toronto, and at times British Columbia, Vancouver Island.
Cool.
Like small town island living.
Cool. Do you have family in all of these spaces? Like
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
I actually
cool.
have family also in the Middle East. My brother moved there a long time ago now. He was a teacher. He's a teacher, and he's just been living the life there, and moving around to different areas in the Emirates, and then also like the Gulf area and like that kind of thing. So he ended up kind of migrating that way.
Sure. This is like the diaspora narrative, live and dangerous, for real now.
It's true. It's the migration, the movements.
So how does it feel though, like as an African woman with all these different kind of cultural influences in terms of like just identity, in terms of narrative, in terms of like your own spirit, like how you approach your work? How does all this movement affect or influence you?
You know what, I think that's maybe why there's so much movement, is because I always want to stay because ancestry and a culture and identity and all of those things, they are in motion. They are constantly moving and that kind of thing too. Learning and unlearning.
Yes.
I feel like it needs to happen.
Sure.
Because you learn one thing and you staple it to your heart, and you feel like I am a product of this thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then you move like that. But you got to keep unlearning and learning more. I think that like that's the reason. If I were to really like break it down, maybe that's the reason actually, of just wanting to keep moving and that kind of thing. But as far as like pride in my culture, pride in cultures, and the things that I have like kind of I've been able to, my points of reference, my experience and all of those things, I feel I mean with the pain and the whatever, there's so much to be proud of and stories to tell and that kind of thing, and especially being African, being from this continent, it's something that it's that whole like also people from on the outside and on the inside learning and unlearning thing.
So there's this whole vibe that African artists or African music like is permanently on the come up. Never mind the fact that like sound itself and projecting of sound is our invention. You know what I mean? On a human level.
It's
What's
reflected and bought back.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I mean?
Oh no, okay, I'm gonna get that. I want that sound. That's your sound.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on that? Especially someone who's like who moves around a lot. Like, what is this thing of this permanent newness that we are seen as African artists, as an African sound? Every couple of years it's repackaged and viewed as some kind of new thing, but it's very, very old music.
Yeah, I just feel like, okay, so definitely that's gonna happen. It does happen.
Yeah.
But ultimately it does also bring out a sense of pride.
Sure.
And I think that having like a sense of pride in your culture and cultures and like that.
Yeah.
So someone like, for instance, like my nephews, they're making music, and all of a sudden they're like, yo, like it's almost like they're the Afro beats. It's finally taking on, and now they're making these Afro beats.
Yes.
And like, and it's like, okay, cool, but you know that you like that's yours, right?
Yes.
Like, just so you know, it's not like doesn't belong to like over there, and then.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Ultimately, it's gonna still be a positive thing to generate this like, proud to be African, and like, and be able to understand where the wealth that you come from, and like that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what are your views though, like on this generation of artists, music, the digital revolution? Like, what does it mean to artists? What does it mean to livelihoods? What does it mean to revenue generation? What does it mean to like sustaining a career? 20 years ago, you had to move product, and it was a very predictable process, so to speak. Right now, the product is like can be infinitely duplicated, and that creates other kind of complexities due to that, especially dilution. So, like, what are your thoughts on that as a person living in this world now? You know what I mean?
As an artist, also like. As an artist, I feel like that whole like there are so many sensitivities around people and their art and stuff like that, because it can be discouraging in some ways, that it's so diluted, it can be just a dime a dozen and whatever, and it can be, but I think you gotta kind of bring it back to the reason why you do art, and like just becoming. It's almost like maybe I won't draw the parallel of like being in love versus being loved, like
Sure,
that kind of thing. Just be it. Your identity is actually what you do.
For sure.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Your
not
use
like
of
what
energy.
someone else tells you you're doing.
Yeah.
Even if you like sign a deal and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's who you are. It's like, well, that's who I've been.
Yes.
Been done. Like, yeah.
And speaking of evolution then, and speaking of constantly moving and changing your sound or how you express yourself, like, do you get to a particular threshold at some point where you feel like you have to make a jump? How does it happen when you kind of move genres, move sounds? Like, is there some kind of build up to that sometimes, or is it kind of one of those you just switch up?
I don't know. Like I get excited by new sounds. Like I remember I almost feel like I'm almost embarrassed about it, but I remember hearing dubstep for the first time, and I was like, this is dope.
Yeah.
Like dubstep, everything. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
And I was like, actually no, like I can't. Like when people started to really listen to dubstep, I'd go to a dubstep thing, I didn't actually like it.
Sure.
I was like, no, I changed my mind. Like that kind of thing. So I feel like making a jump, I haven't really, as far as like making music and making bodies of work, I have got into the habit of studying a topic or studying a character and character development, and that's kind of like my own self, like just kind of story writing and that kind of thing, and or even just like to understand methods of creating stuff.
Sure.
And so the focus isn't so much like what sound should I be doing now. It's more like just like how do I want to present this story, or how do I want to tell this story, and what's the what feeling, I mean what sound is going to evoke that feeling and set up that scene and that character.
So the choice of genre or sound is almost like a palette or an addition. It's not like the core purpose.
I think so, but I mean, I have like my guilty pleasure. Like I love beats. I love hard beats. I like a lot of like the trap, cavernous kind of sounds, those kinds of things. Those 808s and putting a lot of like reverb on stuff and stacking. Like it's very like I like that stuff, but I don't also want to just do that for the sake of it.
Sure.
So it's like just kind of. Like I'll touch on it in my own production and in my own writing, but I'm not like, ooh, I'm gonna do that now. Like I don't think that's kind of
because from my own personal experience, when I heard you through Trackheads, Feel, like, do you want to maybe like now that you're here?
That's so interesting, because that was actually, I'm trying to remember what year that was. So it was like just the moment I was like I was coming from Cape Town and Vancouver Island, small town girl, moving to Toronto because those places are too small. I couldn't live in Cape Town, and I couldn't live in this small island, Vancouver Island. And so Toronto was the biggest thing, and I landed in Toronto and was lifted immediately, like on the shoulders of these greats that I didn't even know were like these musical greats or whatever. And I was like dabbling here and there, and like making hooks and making songs here and there and playing with different pieces of equipment. But when I got to Toronto, it was like boom, 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 boom. There was a catalyst. There was a huge shift.
Sure.
And that's when I sank into music, and Nick Holder became almost like a mentor, big brother type person. His beats, he is a hip hop producer.
Yes.
He is a hip hop producer, and his house stuff is I was like, when I
side project, you know what I mean?
People kept asking him to remix these songs, and I was like, okay, and he's like, yeah, it pays the bills. Like, he just kept being like, yeah, it pays the bills. There was a song that came through. I recorded 2 songs in the span of a week. It was Grow and Daylight, one of the very first songs that I recorded and released with Nick Holder's label. At the time, he was working with KJ. At the time, they were
Trackheads,
partners. No longer, though.
Sure.
So that was like the first, and I didn't think anything of it. I had never heard of it, but I was just like, this is cool. I get to do this thing.
Yeah.
And they gave me a bunch of beats. I think it was like 8, like a folder of beats, and I chose 4 of them. And so I was like, I like the bridge from this song, and I like the this from this song. I want to take this, and I want to put a flange on this, and I want to change the vocal, and I want to arrange it this way. And they were like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'd never really done it before,
Sure.
except for like on my own trying things. And they were like, dope, let's do it that way. Cool. And so rolling.
Yeah.
Someone came to me, and then at that session, in the span of a week, those two songs, they were written very fast because they were easy to work with. Nick Holder was very easy to work with.
Yeah.
Very chill. The TV was on. They were like chilling. There was like every once in a while there'd be a break, little water break. Sit down on the couch there by the console, living room setup.
Yeah.
Thing. And they in the break, KJ pulled up a remix that they were commissioned to do for another like signed bigger artist at the time. It was Julie Black. Coming out of Toronto. She was like the next to hit, like worldwide, and then they did this remix for her, and they didn't like it. And so they're like, yeah, but this is the beat, like listen to this. So it was feel. I can't actually remember how it goes. I was just trying to imitate. I was like, this is classic.
Yes.
And so then I just had the it wasn't a plan to record anything. The television was on, and it was just like I was watching. It was on mute, and I was just kind of freestyling the lyric, and it sounds like a freestyle, but that's what it was. And it was like, cool, boom, done. They didn't even tell me. They were like, cool, all right, moving right along. It was 2 takes.
Wow.
It was 2 takes, and there was a little part, there was a little bridge part. I can't remember how. I can't remember the thing. The point is that like
it's been a while though.
Yesterday, the day before, my nephew is 18. His girlfriend's sister came over with a vinyl, and it was Feel.
Yes.
And I was like, what? That's the very first time I got to touch a condenser mic and vinyl, and it got pressed to vinyl.
Yeah, man.
And on there, I read it was like Trackheads featuring, or it was like Zaki Ibrahim, or Zaki, just Zaki. And then it said written, produced, and arranged by Zaki, Nick, and KJ.
Yes.
And I was like, that was the very first. That made me so proud, because I've done a lot of collaborations before where I've been able to, but they're just like featuring vocalists, this, you know what I mean? But it was like, they were like, no, we did this together.
Yeah, no, cool. For us, that was our introduction to you. Then you did some stuff with Bodhisattva and them.
Yeah, Bodhi, I got to meet after he remixed something that I did with Bombay Records.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wake with the Day.
Wake with the Day.
Wake with the Day. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the kind of genealogy that we come from. You know what I mean?
Yes,
kind of,
and it's so interesting because, like I was saying, Nick was like, "Man, this house stuff just pays the bills," and meanwhile, he's like at all the hip hop shows. He's producing. He's sending tapes, like all the tapes, CDs to like rappers and vocalists and stuff like that. And his beats are heavy.
Yeah,
Beats are heavy. Like at the time, like JD, like they were very like that sound. It was amazing. And so I kind of adopted. I feel like I adopted that attitude of like, yeah, house is yeah.
Sure,
I wasn't like a house head. People that are like house fanatics. Those are like my older brothers and sisters, cousins, and like I felt like that was kind of like a generation over there, and I was just kind of in between in hip hop, soul, and just kind of finding my way. House music hit me in '09 when Nick Holder asked me, like days out, he was like, yo, come on tour with me, I'm going to South Africa. And he had been asked to go to South Africa many times, but he doesn't like flying.
We have heard that. So those,
I'm like, you shut up, like you don't, like people are gonna fly you down to a place and you're not gonna take it. Like, why would you do that? And so I'm like, yes, of course I'm coming. Let's do this. And it was with Fresh and Euphonic.
Yeah, sure.
And we did like all the like the towns that I had never really been to as a kid, like Welkom and Bloemfontein. I had been to Klerksdorp.
Sure, Klerksdorp. Yeah.
And Klerksdorp. I can't say the word.
Klerksdorp. Yeah. As an artist, it really is important to kind of keep yourself open to whatever, you know what I mean? Because a lot of South Africans really would not have a clue who you are if it wasn't for like the house.
The house music, that's true.
Yeah, like really,
that's
really.
true. Thank goodness for house music.
Yeah.
No, but I definitely do. It hit me, and it hit me hard.
Yeah.
Because I was there, like at the car wash, at the the spots like where there's like thousands of people just in it.
Yes.
Like in deep. Yes. And I was like, oh, that's what it is.
Yes.
It wasn't that other thing that I saw and this other thing and like childhood memories at house parties.
Yeah.
It's like this movement.
Yes.
And so it hit me and it stayed. And
Yeah, so what's the way forward? Like, do you have new material?
I just finished a full-length album.
Cool.
It took about 3 years to make. In the meantime, there were other projects, some collaborations, an EP.
Cool.
Very sci-fi.
Dope.
Like sci-fi. Like the EP, Orbit EP that was done at Red Bull.
Sure.
It was a story arc. It was something that was written with a friend of mine. It was like the writing session turned into like this like epic saga of about binary star systems.
Cool.
And then when I took it to Toronto, it took about a week, maybe 4 days to do that whole thing, and then took it to Toronto, and then I hung out with the lead researcher, the astrophysicist, astronomer at U of T, University of Toronto. And he's a hip hop head. He knew about my music, and he was like, I was wondering if he wanted to do some visuals, if he wanted to. I didn't actually. I wanted to use the planetarium, and I wanted to figure out how to tell the story, how to make it. And he's like, we could definitely like scientifically break this story down because it is actual factual stuff. And it's like this love story of what happens. It's like the life cycle of creation and love. It's just this thing. So we did a 20-minute long, like he did a 10-minute talk in the beginning. We had 4 groups of 25, and there were a lot of like young people there that were like, this is dope, I never thought about coming to a planetarium and checking this out. So that's something that I'd like to develop too, because I love science. I love like the idea of going to like planetariums and looking at something that's like just bigger and something that's like, you know what I mean? Cool. So there's that, and then there's also a full-length album was actually going to come out this month, but the latest that will be out is January.
Okay, great. No, it's always good to take your time, because once it's out forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's cool. It's independent. It's completely independent. Everything is like, everything is like budgeted, and it's not like, oh, there's a label, this is what they're going to throw in this and they're going to throw in that, and then there's a big debt at the end of it. Or there's a misunderstanding. I didn't know the meals were also, I didn't know that the Ubers,
everything. Exactly. How are you finding that though? Like, do you have a facility or a label that you're running yourself now, or? Or is it just you are the business?
I am the label.
Cool.
And I do all sorts of things. Like if you knew what I did
Sure.
to make the music,
Yeah.
you would think things of me.
Sacrifices for the art.
Sacrifices, yo. And I'm a mother.
Yes.
My boy is 3 years old today.
Beautiful. Happy birthday to him.
Thank you.
Blessings from the GYS
He's in
crew.
Toronto. He's very far away. This is the longest I've been away from him for almost a month now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So it's day with dad and
Yes, they're living it up. The boys.
Yeah, cool, man. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Send our love to your family. Send our love to the little one.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, man. It's always good to see someone from home coming home to do their thing.
Yes.
And wherever else we meet, we'll meet there, I guess.
Hi, this is Zaki Ibrahim, and you are listening to Globalize Yourself Stereo.